Hello and welcome to a different type of video. This is a historical video and technical video about the Williams FW31, which has been racing in Assetto Corsa for the past few weeks. This is some background footage really while I talk through what I want to say about this car and tell a little bit more about it. This is for our first race of the season, some good racing in the background, that's something to have a look at. However, I want to talk about the hybrid system on this car because 2009 was the first season of KERS in Formula 1. And back then it was far more limited in the way it could be used than the hybrid systems are now. You could only use the boost, it essentially works as a boost button, giving about an 80 horsepower boost, and only for 6 or so seconds per lap. And very few teams ran it. In that first year, only Ferrari, Mclaren and BMW raced it, as far as I understand, and the Williams system never raced. I don't think people realise this. We're racing the car with the hybrid in Assetto Corsa, but yeah, that version of the car never raced. The technology did race, but not in Formula 1. I find it quite interesting. I thought I'd make a little bit of video to tell people about this. So back when kinetic energy recovery system was first introduced, you were a little bit more open in terms of how you could develop the system than you are now. In terms of now you have to have a battery in a Formula 1 engine. That's how you store the charge. The way these systems work is they store the energy which is usually wasted under braking and convert it into electrical energy. But there's different ways you can store that electrical energy. Now in Formula 1 it is batteries, but back in 2009 BMW went the supercapacitor route and Williams went with the flywheel route. Now, instead of storing electrical energy in a battery or supercapacitor, this stores it mechanically in a spinning flywheel. And it's quite an interesting system and potentially has some advantages because at the time the batteries would wear out. Batteries wear out by charging and discharging. The flywheel wears out through rotation, spinning over and over, but with it being mechanical it basically would wear out more slowly, I believe that was their theory, and for that reason they thought this technology could be more applicable outside of the world of Formula 1. Now there were drawbacks to the hybrid system. As much as it was brilliant for race starts, getting that boost off the line, I assume that's how a lot of people have been using it as we've raced it, is off the start line. As soon as you get traction, deploy the power boost. There were issues. There was a weight penalty essentially of using it, even though the cars were under the weight limit. Normally you put ballast in there to balance it out. This is essentially using a big chunk of weight which you can't move around as ballast and you can't put where you want it, so there's a disadvantage from that point of view. And also packaging wise it could be a bit awkward. I think BMW ditched the system halfway through the year, and part of the reason for that was they felt it was compromising the aerodynamics with the way they had to have the rear of the car to get the system in there. So only the 4 teams raced it, Ferrari, McLaren, BMW. Williams did try it at a test. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, it actually ran properly at a test. What I think they did was spin up the flywheel. Essentially it is a big weight spinning. They wanted to see how that affected the car. They, I believe, spun that up in a garage and then ran it around the track. I don't think it worked as a proper hybrid in the Formula 1 car, although I could be wrong. And it was decided, the teams agreed not to run KERS in 2010. When it came back in 2011, I think it was mandated you ran a battery storage system. And that was it really for this system on this car, but it did go on to race. It raced in a Porsche 911 GT3, homologated GT3 regulations in, I believe, 2010 Nürburgring 24 hours, and led the race, and arguably should have won it. It had much better fuel mileage due to the hybrid system, but had a mechanical issue about an hour and a half from the end, and that put it out of the race. It wasn't anything to do with the hybrid system, but that unfortunately stopped it winning there. They did win a race, I think, in VLN next year with that car. The real success for this system was when it went into the Audi Le Mans car and won the 2012 Le Mans 24 hours using this very system. And the interesting thing is, in World Endurance Championship in 2014, for a few years after, I believe, all the different hybrid technologies were racing against each other. Audi had the Flywheel, Toyota the supercapacitor, Porsche the batteries, and they were all competing against each other there. So, yeah, I thought you'd like the story of this car. An interesting point of history, really, is hybrids are starting to emerge. They're only going to get more and more important. So I think it's important to look back, understand, okay, this car never raced, but it's still an important stepping stone as different technologies were tested, really, and that's where Formula One can be very useful. The Williams system is developed by Williams Hybrid Drive Company, so it can be sold to third parties as well as being used in Formula One, and they've done from that, through Williams Advanced Engineering, lots of other projects that show Formula One can be relevant to the road. It's not just some people blasting around in racing cars making a lot of noise. There are important developments for the world that can come out of Formula One, and this hybrid system is one of those. Yes, it was never used for its original purpose, but it's a stepping stone. All these things have to be tried and they can all be developed, and this is what Formula One can show. Hopefully that continues in Formula One. There's always a balance between the show and doing things from a sporting side and what really is worth it for manufacturers and development. I think this early stage of KERS shows that it can be done right and you can end up with some interesting applications. It can help push the world forward a little bit. So that's the story. Let me know what you think. If you'd like some more videos of this type. And yeah, hope you've all enjoyed racing the car. It's available for download for anybody if you're not racing in our series, so give it a go. And yeah, thank you for watching.